we could win the league on Sunday and potentially, possibly, Manchester United could be 17th in the Premier League table.
Part of me would enjoy the collective scream of anguish from North London.
I just think there's so much to look forward to.
This is one of the most remarkable achievements. No one expected it.
This is a massive summer in terms of the future of the football club.
Trent, as a football decision, I've won everything here. I could actually go and win everything there. Put yourself in that boat.
Would it not have just saved so much conversation, so much drama, if he was just honest with people?
He's just fantastic, and I'd love him to stay. He's dead to me until he finishes and comes back. Wherever you are, if you're a Liverpool fan, it's going to be a great time.
Hello and welcome to Inside Liverpool, the show where we take a deep dive on all things Liverpool Football Club. We're on talkSPORT's YouTube channel. Another big show coming up, looking back on another Liverpool victory away at Leicester on Sunday, edging that little bit closer to finally securing the Premier League title. We'll also look ahead to the big game this weekend at home to Tottenham, where a victory will guarantee the league title for Liverpool. Plus, we'll discuss some of the big talking points in the week, in particular transfer news, plus so much more. I'm Sam Ellard, your host. Alongside me today, former Liverpool midfielder, talkSPORT's very own Danny Murphy, and one of the best voices in Liverpool journalism, one of the most respected voices, Tony Evans. Gents, how are we?
All good, thanks. Yeah, all good.
Everyone good?
Looking forward to the celebrations.
Well, we should say we're recording this on a Wednesday morning, where possibly, it's tonight. The title is decided if Crystal Palace go to Arsenal. I mean, listen, I'm not that we're in a position to be picking, but I don't know about you, Danny, but well, it would be funny to see Arsenal lose it in their own backyard. Sunday, Tottenham. Beautiful Sunday afternoon at Anfield. That's the place we want to win it, right?
I think so. I mean, look, any Liverpool fan, player or staff member, of course, is going to just get it done as soon as possible because then you can celebrate. And Sunday would still be an amazing celebration and a great day. But playing a weakened Tottenham team before they play their semi-final, you'd expect Liverpool to win that game 9 out of 10, well, 10 out of 10. And to do it on the pitch with the fans there would be ideal. Yeah. But let's not be.
You're old school, Tony. You're like, just get it done tonight. Soon as opportunity, let's just win the league.
Yeah, whenever it comes, you know, it's and part of me would enjoy the collective scream of anguish from North London. You know, the way Arsenal fans have seemed to created this narrative in their own minds that they've been the best team this year and that they somehow should be leading the league, you know, this sense of entitlement they've got. It'd be quite funny to see that. But obviously, Danny's right. Ideally, on the pitch at Anfield, the Kop, you know, in full flow. And you know, I've seen them beat Tottenham to win the league twice over the years. So, you know, the hat-trick would be good. Yeah,
it'd be good. The best narrative that I've seen on social media over the last kind of couple of weeks, other football fans sort of feeling sorry for Liverpool, like, oh, no one cares about Liverpool's title win. You've got no excitement, you've got no drama. I mean, like Arsenal Football Club, who haven't won a league title in over 20 years and have never won a Champions League, almost telling Liverpool fans that, oh, well, this one doesn't count because you're so far clear, there's no drama. It's absolute nonsense, isn't it?
Yeah, but unfortunately, what happens when you're successful is you get jealousy.
There we go.
And you get fans, groups of fans who want to find negativity.
In anything.
In everything and in anything that your team's doing. So I don't think Liverpool players care. Liverpool fans don't care. They know what they're seeing. They know the future's bright. They know the title's on the horizon. There's so much positivity about the football club. You know, Mo's signed, Virgil's signed. We think Trent's probably going to go, but we'll talk about that. I just think there's so much to look forward to. And let's be honest, I know a lot of Liverpool fans, and I'm one, but I don't remember listening or hearing one who thought the title was going to be won this season.
No, never at all.
I really don't. So it's come, everything's early, like this celebration they're going to have, this amazing achievement, which is what it is. Winning the league any year. You know, let's not talk about how competitive the league is and all that. Forget that. Trying to win the Premier League is the hardest job. They've got it done, more or less, ahead of time, which is going to give us this foundation to move forward and crack on, to go again next year, to be competitive in Europe again, to bring players. Everything's moving forward. Just forget what the other fans say. Don't even look at it. Don't even go on social media.
Get off social media, right? It's no good. It's toxic, Tony.
You've got to earn the right to have a slow end of the season.
Yeah.
And they did. And there are all those points in the bag. So you know what? If you stumble over the line, and you talk about stumbling over the line, it's still
top of the form guide.
It's not even May. Top of the form guide. And
I think everyone's saying it's a slow start and that we're not playing well. Fine. Over the last 5 games and even the last 10 games, we're top of the form guide. So no one's getting anywhere near us.
Yeah.
So it's remarkable, isn't it?
Ultimately, at the end of the season, the points tally will show how good the season's been.
We're so far ahead of where we all thought we were going to be in Slot's first season.
Internally at Anfield, no one thought there was a title to be won. And one of the reasons that the contract issues stretched on so far is because they had to change the whole mindset in the course of the season because they were top of the league and look as if they were going to win the title. So, yeah, I mean, this is one of the most remarkable achievements certainly in Liverpool's Premier League history. I'd say going even beyond that. This is one of the times when we've won a title where no one expected it. They've come from relatively nowhere. They thought was top 4 place, that'll be fine, and then rebuild in the future under a new manager. And Arne Slot's come in and he's won the league, and all of a sudden everything's changed. So you know what? It's like, let other fans think what they like. This is a brilliant period for Liverpool.
Absolutely. We'll look ahead in a bit to sort of maybe what the summer might look like. We've been linked with lots of players over the last sort of week or so. But going back to the last game, Danny, on Sunday away at Leicester, what did you make of the performance? What stood out for you?
I thought they were sharp. They come out of the traps well. Looked like it was going to be a stroll in the park. Hit the woodwork, didn't he, Salah? Salah started the game really sharp, actually. He'd be disappointed that he didn't score, but it looked really comfortable early on. And then as it kind of slowed up a little bit and started dragging out, you start thinking, where's the goal going to come from? Then they re-energised half-time. I thought, again, come out early second half with a bit more intent. It's like, come on, let's get the job done. And things didn't quite go well quickly. And then you kind of felt when Trent was coming on the pitch, there was something in me that... I know it's easy afterwards.
Inevitable, right?
I wouldn't say inevitable, but because he's so wonderful, I thought maybe he'd do a bit of magic to set up the winner rather than even score it. But when he's coming on, you're thinking, there's a story here. And at that point, nobody cares who scores the goal. Of course they don't. And whether the keeper should have saved it, it's a different story. But when that went in, it was just kind of like, I don't know what you felt, but I kind of felt, it's done. It's done. If Leicester was a sneaker lucky win, and then all of a sudden Arsenal get a little bit, you never know. Liverpool, they've lost at Fulham, they've lost at Leicester.
Things can get nervy potentially.
A little bit, maybe. But when that's gone in, fans have gone mad. Trent's gone over, the shirt's gone. It's kind of like, whoa, what an amazing story for him to get the goal, especially after the week with Virgil and Mo signing as well. There's a bit of an irony to it. And actually the fans embraced the celebration, of course. And you kind of think, right, job done, and they can look forward now to next Sunday. Because I've been lucky enough to see Liverpool win the title. And then, of course, the last one in COVID, the fans weren't there. That win at Leicester at least gives Liverpool the opportunity. I know that Palace have got a small chance at Arsenal tonight, but very unlikely. It gives Liverpool fans, that win gave them the opportunity to celebrate it on Sunday, whether Palace beat Arsenal or whether Liverpool beat Spurs. Do you get me? So
100%, yeah.
I think that win was crucial in that respect.
Yeah.
Well, not crucial, but nicer for the Liverpool fans to look forward to
Sunday. It just takes a bit of the pressure off.
Yeah.
And, you could see at Leicester a little bit of doubt creeping into people's minds, and it transmits from the terraces as well to the players. I mean, you'll attest to that, Danny. You can feel the tension. And the thing is, just scoring that goal, and obviously Trent, when you're in the journalism business, you always look for the stories, the narratives, and it was like, it was too obvious. People always say, you couldn't write that. Actually, it happens all the time. You could write it. But this was almost one, second you come on, you look at the laptop and go, Trent Alexander-Arnold, entered the fray and changed the nature of the game. It's like, you can file it already.
Yeah,
you knew, because he's such a class player. We'll talk more about him later. But no, it was... And it's good to go to Leicester and frankly to relegate them, because their fans have had loads of poverty chants over the years, and have been not very pleasant to us.
Sure.
So, while I feel sorry for the players, and, you look at someone like Vardy, who, 9 years ago was winning a title.
Yeah.
And, you could see how devastated he was. And you feel for the Leicester players, for the fan base, I was like, good.
There we go. Happy day. A little icing on the cake then for the 3
Yeah.
points. It is hard though when you talk about the game to talk about really anything other than the Trent goal. But also, I don't think I've ever seen, Danny, in the history of football, a celebration analysed as much as what people have analysed Trent's celebration, because everyone thought, hey, if you're celebrating like that, it means you're signing. It means you're staying. But it could just be a case of he might be leaving, but hey, he still loves the football club. And it was a massive goal and a massive moment, given it was his first game back for a couple of weeks, wasn't it?
I think analysis of the celebration was inevitable.
Yeah. I was one of those. I hold my hands up and text my mates going, he's signing, come on.
All I can tell you is that footballers have said this for years, but I can confirm it. When you score a goal sometimes, especially an important one, something comes over you that you can't quite control. And you don't really know why. It can be anger, euphoria, passion, all mixed into these bodily functions. and then you kind of do things and try, your facial expression sometimes doesn't actually tell the world what you're feeling, sometimes it does. Your body, you do silly celebration, you end up in the crowd. I've done that at Goodison. These things come over you that you can't, you look back on it sometimes and go, "What? Who is that man?"
Is there one that you look back on and going, what was I doing?
I've done a few. I've been lucky enough to score some important goals, so yeah, I don't regret them. But you kind of look back and think, "Oh, what am I doing?" I think Trent's was not so thought through. I think it was a release.
Yeah.
I think it looked to me like a release of frustration at criticism, of judgment. Whether he goes or not, there's no doubt he loves the club. You can't not. What he's put into the club, he's a kid growing up there.
Liverpool fan.
Yeah, he loves the club. Now, whatever decision he makes and the politics around that, fine. But in that moment, he's scoring a goal that more or less gets his team over the line. Yeah. That's what came out of him. And mixed with the frustration around I think frustration around the situation of what it's causing. Do you know what I mean? That's the celebration.
If what we all think is going to happen does happen, and he's going to go into the season and he's enjoying Real Madrid, is there a possibility, guys? And this is what I think should have happened. If again, there's no U-turn here. He's joining Real Madrid. There's an agreement in place. It's going to happen. I just think that certainly in January, when he was allowed to make contact with Real Madrid, that he should have come out and spoken, because he's been very consistent throughout the whole season. I'm not going to speak. I'm not saying anything. I think it would have made everything so much easier for everybody if he just spoke. Didn't have to be an interview. It even been an Instagram video where he just came out, guys, and said what's basically happening. He spoke about how much he loves the football club. I'm a boy Liverpool fan. I've lived my dream. But this opportunity, for me, my family, my life, my career, culturally, is an opportunity I couldn't turn down. Do you think, Danny, if you can, as a former player, put yourself in his position, and you know your contract's run out, you know you've got that agreement with Real Madrid, would it not have just saved so much conversation, so much drama, if he was just honest with people and looked everybody in the eye?
Well, I've just shared the same sentiment with Mr. Simon Jordan on a
Great
show.
minds think alike, Danny.
And he didn't really agree with me.
Why?
Well, first of all, my feeling around it was that if he did that, he's still going to take the flack, right? You're still going to get criticised because he's leaving the club, full stop. I think it would have put it to bed quicker.
Exactly that.
Quicker. It could have carried on for a while, but ultimately what the fans want is Liverpool to win the league. So if in January, the fans aren't going to spend every game at Anfield going for him. They're going to be still supporting the team, trying to get over the line to win the league.
100%.
And I think for him, it would have helped him put it to bed and not be constantly questioned and analysed and all those things.
We're analysing celebrations.
So I do think there's some benefit to it. And fans would have known, media would have known. The only thing for me was that I don't know him. Did he know for sure then? Had he made the decision? So why rush into it if you haven't? That would be, one of the big things. And probably, part of him maybe thought, God forbid, I come out and say this, then we go on to mess this up, not win the league.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the brunt.
Yeah.
So that's probably the biggest thing where he might have thought, no. What do you think?
Well, I think like you, I have mixed feelings about it, Danny. One, he could have got ahead of it. But I mean, I remember Keegan when he left, and he announced it very early, and he got a fair amount of stick throughout that season from the crowds. So there's that. But I think Danny's argument that if the league would have gone wrong, if they would have blown up, he would have been the whipping boy. And also, you can leave your options open, and I mean, for example, God forbid he breaks a leg or something.
Yeah, true.
Just leave your options open a little bit. I think probably what will make life easier for everyone is that we've won the league effectively, and you can depart on good terms. But the other thing, Danny, I wanted to ask you about that is, being a Liverpool fan and playing for the club, but is there an element of you've got to park your fandom a little bit while you're a professional and you're playing and make the best decisions for your career, and then you can come back later and be a fan again, but it's while you're playing, because I think of your friends and one of the Liverpool greats, Steven Gerrard, and look what happened to him. He twice he didn't go to Chelsea. He stayed, and at the end it was ugly. The club treated him abysmally, and he just wanted to stay. And he said it's not about money. And the offer they made him was so bad, they made it about money, it was insulting. And if that happens to a great at the club, what happens if you're Trent? So you got to balance that. I just like your view on that.
I think you do become more business-like in your thinking, especially if you've got good support around you, because the fan part of you is always there, but it can cloud your judgment.
Yeah.
Or it can actually go the other way, where it makes you make the right decision. It makes you think more about the important things in life rather than the business element. So it can work both ways. I was never in a fortunate enough position that Trent's in, or Stevie was in, to be looking at a possible bigger or equal move. Not that Chelsea was equal or bigger, but from a financial but Madrid is a different thing. I always felt honoured because Liverpool was always my dream. I didn't have another dream. I only had a dream to play for Liverpool. I didn't even have a dream to play for England when I was a kid. That wasn't, and I'm not just saying that because that just wasn't a dream.
It was Liverpool and that was it.
Yeah. I do understand from Trent's, I've tried to look at it from a non-fan perspective. And the thing with Trent, he's in this wonderful position that not many players have ever been in. In that he's got arguably the biggest club in the world after him. After winning every possible trophy at the club he supports and grew up at, right? How many people have been in that position?
Well, something Stephen didn't know that, did he?
No, he hadn't won
and he was
the
the best player of my lifetime I've seen Liverpool.
Forget the quality of the player.
Yeah.
I'm on about Trent as a football decision rather than a fan. Forget the money. He's getting weighed in wherever. I don't think Trent's going because he's going to get more.
He's doing all right, isn't he? Even yeah.
I've won everything here. I could actually go and win everything there. Yeah. It's a very unusual situation for a player to find himself in at Liverpool Football Club. And that's what some people have missed a little bit. Put yourself in that boat. I know it's hard for fans to do it because they just love Liverpool, and I get it. But from a footballing perspective, imagine he's done, what more can he do? Here, go and do it there as well. He could finish his career, sit back and go, League, Champions League, League Cup, FA Cup, Super Cup, blah, blah, blah. There, League, Champions League, blah, blah, blah. In both. Unbelievable opportunity.
Is there any part of you, Tony, that thinks there is a big curveball coming towards the end of the season, and he's seen the Salah and Van Dijk, the love that they're getting, and every's and he does. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to be very positive.
I would love for him to stay because I think he's such a good player, and he's a really bright, intelligent young man. He's he's just fantastic, and I'd love him to stay. And I imagine there's like a 2% chance in my brain I think he'll make a U-turn. But yeah, it's hard, isn't it? Because I was born to be a Liverpool fan. I was 30 before going to journalism, so all I did before that was go to the match.
Was it?
And all I wanted to do was go to the match wherever it was, home and away, all over Europe, and all that. And I have to say, looking at it from my perspective, Real Madrid come calling, you'd be like, it's Real Madrid. It's Real Madrid. So I can understand the attraction. It's and it's tough. And I mean, for me, it's again, there's parts of it when if he does walk out the door, it's like, don't let the handle bruise your backside, Trent. Good, well, not even good luck there. He's dead to me until he finishes and comes back.
Yeah,
there has been. I'm surprised by some of the strength of criticism. I don't know if you are. I mean, maybe I'm naive because I've not been on the fan side of it for quite a long time, been in the media. But I'm surprised how strong some of it's been. You know, even some of the people I know who have said things to me, friends of mine, I'm like, whoa, you know.
Well, like he's a traitor, that sort of stuff.
Just hard, really, really disappointed and angry that he's deciding to go instead of being able to look at it.
Do you think because he's going to leave on a free? Do you think maybe if he had 3 years left in his deal and he was going for 50 million, 60, 70, 80 million pounds, some people I think that he's purposely run down his contract. He's always had this time in mind. But is it
that's
would
the
a player
club's issue?
Is that yes, exactly. It's not his fault, right?
I mean, the reality is, and we've talked about this quite a lot over the years, everyone has, but in that Klopp's last year there, you know, when there was no director of football, sporting director, Fenway should have got someone, you know, they're a business, you should have got someone to come over and get the contracts, extend the contracts, even if you make an agreement with Trent and say, look, you know, let's put an extra 2 years, but, you know, we'll put a clause in there where you can go if Real Madrid come in for you, and do that so you get some value. The fact that we're getting nothing for Trent is not his. It is not his doing. It's the club's mistake, and we've got to accept that. But I can live with the club making mistakes when they've done so many positive things in other areas.
Yeah, what they could have done. Well, what used to happen when Peter Robinson was when I first signed there, who was very famous chief executive. There used to be. And this is generally the way in football, but Liverpool were very strong on it. If you got to 2 years left on your contract and you're still wanted and appreciated, you'd get a new one. You wouldn't even have to go to them. You know, people wanted to be there anyway, but there you go, you're doing well, there's a new deal, right? And if you decided, or nobody really did, but when it got to the point, Steve McManaman was the first one, really, I remember, because obviously the ruling changed, the Bosman thing came in, and he let his contract run, even though Liverpool wanted to sign him to go to Madrid. And that was kind of when things started changing a little bit. But Liverpool have been in a position for a long time now with Trent to never let him get to a point. And if they did, with 2 years, 18 months left, let's say 2 seasons left, say to him, here's the new deal, we're going to reward you, you're playing great, you know, you're part of our plans, blah, blah, blah. And he said, no, I am not signing a new deal, full stop. Liverpool then still had the option to sell him.
Get some money from you.
So you're right in that respect, and they have to take some responsibility for that, because all fans are doing is going, he's run his contract down, he's without actually knowing what Liverpool have offered, not offered, or whatever. But Liverpool are in control of that situation, because let's make no bones about it. 2 years ago, there would have been takers for Trent all over Europe.
Oh, yeah,
for a decent amount.
Definitely, yeah.
And Liverpool could have gone public and said, we've offered him a contract, we're not letting him run his contract down, he won't sign a new one. And we've offered him X, Y, Z. There you go, done.
And also as well, you've got the other two players as well who are in the same situation, Salah and Van Dijk.
But that's different. It's very different.
I'm saying they've allowed those players to get into the same situation as Trent, which is not good enough.
But that's completely different.
Yeah.
Because you're allowing two players who are coming right to the end of their career with no particular...
Losing on a free though, Danny, is still, that would have been a disaster for the football club, wouldn't it?
It would have been, but it makes sense to leave it as late as possible if you can with them two. Yeah. I mean, but again, you know, what I would have done is look to have, you know, sort of 2 years ago, added an extra year to the contract, maybe with a break clause in. And basically, what would it mean? It would have meant giving the three of them a pay rise. And very few people turn down pay rises, especially if you say to them, look, you know, we understand your situation, Trent. If someone comes along who are bigger than us, and there's not many, so, you know, then we will look sympathetically, or we'll actually put a clause in. And it could have all been done, and it would have walked away. I mean, you know, you can argue that they should have bit the bullet last summer and sold him because he was out of contract. But then you don't win the league. So I would say...
Well, we might have, but the point is, it's not his fault. That it's the club have let it get to that. And they have to... People have to understand the politics behind that. They could have been they were in control of this.
Sticking then with some transfer stories and maybe some players coming in. Hoyston at Bournemouth, centre-back, got a release clause, believed to be around £50 million in his contract, 19 years of age, had a really, really good season. Over the last 48 hours, been heavily linked with Liverpool. 2 questions, Danny. Is centre-back an area in the summer that should be a priority? And then if so, is he a player that you like at Bournemouth?
I do like him a lot. I'd like to see a bit more of him because that first season can, everything's on... You're on a crest of a wave. You're enjoying your football. You haven't had any bad times. He came in. Didn't start the season, by the way.
No.
He came in because of injuries, and he's kind of had no pressure on him yet. Now the expectations there, more focus on him. Let's see how he starts. I think that would be, yes. You wouldn't turn it down because he is a really talented young lad. But I don't know if he's ready to walk into the shoes of Konate or Van Dijk regularly if you lost one of them for a long period. I'm more preoccupied with getting Konate sorted.
Yeah, definitely. That needs to be done.
He's got a year left, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Because he's had his best season. Yeah. He's been shown confidence in terms of came on half-time, opening day of the season at Ipswich, not been left out since. He looks fitter, stronger. Even his passing. Because people, they always admire Van Dijk's beautiful ability to spray the ball around. Konate's distribution has got so much better this season.
Oh, yeah, because he was terrible at first.
Yeah, and
He's clumsy, isn't he?
Yeah.
And although I like Kwanzaa, he's another one. If you look at Howson, I'm not comparing the two like for like, but both young, good athletes, good potential. Do we need someone in there maybe? Do you know what? And this is going to annoy the Blue Noses, but I like Branthwaite.
Oh, yeah.
Top player.
I'd go for Branthwaite.
Now, that would be...
And do you know why as well? I'm a big believer in centre-halves having physical presence.
Yeah.
I know he's not as quick as Van Dijk and Konate, but he's not slow. He is a physical presence. And I think, you're looking years ahead as well. I think he's got more physical presence than Howson.
And we're seeing a movement where more physical centre forwards are coming back into the game. I mean, we've seen Van Dijk struggle a little bit with that side of his game, in the last, couple of months. But yeah, I don't think having a big, in the old days we say a big lump at centre half is, and Branthwaite isn't. No, he's
good footballer as well.
Yeah, he's a good footballer, and he has admirers at Anfield, that's for sure.
Really? Yeah. Do you think that's a deal that could ever get done, though, being with Liverpool and Everton, or would it be impossible to do?
I think it'd be pretty much impossible.
Pretty much. The last player to move from Everton to Liverpool, off the top of your head, you know who that would be?
Was it Abu Xavier or no, Barmby?
Yeah, Barmby.
Barmby, Abu Xavier.
Barmby, mid sort of 2000s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
I think any move's doable in these days.
Again, he's slapping enough money on the table. It might be hard to turn down.
And the new ownership at Everton mightn't have learned to be as bitter as some at this stage.
But I do think a centre-half... I mean, the other obvious one, you might talk... Gay's a really... He's a super talent, and he's quick, and he's got that...
Premier League experience, well done it for a few seasons.
He's got that calmness about him.
Yeah. I don't know if this will be possible. I'm not sure how much money he costs, but I know there's injuries the only thing, but... I think Van de Ven at Spurs is absolutely mustard, and him and Van Dijk together almost feels a bit of a cheat code. But I don't know whether maybe imagine that Van Dijk right centre back, Van de Ven left centre back.
Well, the only thing is
the injury's the only one, isn't it? No, he's had injuries this season.
Yeah, forget the injuries. Let's say he's fully. The only thing with that, and I was thinking about this the other day when someone asked me about centre halves for Liverpool. What you're doing is you're asking Van Dijk to go from that famous left side centre half to play right side centre half.
He'd be fine, though, wouldn't he, to do that?
He's
too good not
to... But maybe he doesn't want to.
Yeah. But I just couldn't imagine that being poised to Van Dijk and him having an issue with moving over to...
Why don't Holland do it, then?
Why don't he stays a left centre-back for Holland,
Well, Holland, he stays left.
Who plays right for them?
Vrij, isn't it?
Right, sure.
The lad from Inter, I think. Was he Inter? Well, whatever. Yeah. Can't remember.
They got Aki, haven't they? They got a lot of centre-back options.
But he would have to move.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't have a left footer playing on the right of Van Dijk, would you?
That'd be strange, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
have you been... Go on, Johnny.
I was going to say, it's, Van Dijk is such a central part of the team. I wouldn't take him out of the place he is in now.
Yeah, sure.
His leadership abilities, his sense of where everyone else is on the pitch.
Do you think we'll actually go for centre-half, though, because of Gomez? Obviously, if Konate signs up, but then we've got... Because Gomez, I know he's injury-prone, but you got Gomez and Kwanzaa.
I think Gomez, will leave. In my opinion, I don't... I don't think Slot fancies Kwanzaa.
I don't.
I think
No,
we know there was that famous 45 minutes, took him off at half-time, and we barely have seen him since.
Right back. We've seen him at right back.
Yeah. You mentioned the Konate situation. That leaves you with kind of only two. So I think the centre back has got to be an option.
They'll certainly buy at least one full back, a centre half. I think they're going to buy a young midfielder, probably someone who's not on our radar, and they certainly need a forward. But they've got they've got the ability to spend quite a lot of money.
How much do you think,
summer.
Tony?
I think they can spend 150 million without selling anyone. And I think they'll get in, obviously, another 50 million. So I think they can go... That was always the plan to spend big this summer. Because, you look at last summer and the summer before. It was always the plan. But the landscape's changed. Now we can do it from a position of strength. People are going to come to Liverpool. So the opportunity is massive.
Do you think a left back or right back, though? Because Kirkes has obviously got the link with... He's been great this season. Robbo's been up and down. I mean, he's still done enough, Robbo.
Actually, the last few weeks, he's improved quite a lot.
Robbo, the thing with Robbo, some people saying, he's getting old, he's falling. I've got to say this. He has had games where I thought, he struggled there. But he's also had games where he looks absolutely fine. It's not like he's slower or he hasn't got energy. He's just a consistency. Which is unusual. Normally, it's a physical thing.
I think his form's dipped this season. I think left back would be an area where to strengthen.
He's been asked to play in a different way as well.
He has.
I think...
Great point.
I think they'll keep him and get rid of Tsimikas.
Yeah.
And I think they'll look for a younger left back. Possibly a centre-half who can play in both positions because they still love that.
Maybe, yeah.
They love the adaptability. I think they'll definitely go for a right back. I mean, it's...
So that'd be three.
That's three already. And you think a midfielder, and then we definitely... So just on the attacking options, interested for Danny's thoughts on who you think Liverpool should try and bring in up top.
Everyone talks about Isak, but I think it's too much money.
I do.
I think it's way too much money. And one of the things that they pride themselves on, and the whole Michael Edwards idea, is to find people who've got value going forwards. And I think they'll be looking at forwards who maybe are not high on our radar. And
diamonds in the rough.
Yeah, and it's and they'll be looking for people. The one thing is that they've had the chance this season to look at the way Slot played. If I rewind slightly, one of the things that Klopp did is made it really easy for Michael Edwards because the style of football he played, so you could buy a player who'd suit that style of football. It was less easy last summer with Slot coming in because they didn't know what they were getting. But they did, but not as familiar as they are now. So I think they'll look for the sort of player that suits his style of football and how he wants to play next summer. And I think we might see some surprise and buys in the transfer market.
Well, Naim, you said to me before, you said Liam Delap, you think he could be a player? He's got that release clause in his contract?
He's got a release clause, so he's fairly inexpensive, 30 million. He's young, he fits Fenway's idea of a player who could grow. I think we're back to 19-year-old centre-half arguments. I'm not so sure he's ready for a leap to the big time. And, it seems to me a lot of money, even 30 million, certainly 50 million for a centre-back. It's a lot of money for them when you don't know whether they're going to be, tried and tested. But, it does fit the Fenway profile.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too unhappy with that. I think the other one, glaring, I agree on Isak, by the way. I think that's a lot of investment on one. I mean, the obvious one to me that hasn't been talked about enough on a free is Jonathan David. Right. At Lille. I mean, his goal-scoring record in the last 3 years is incredible. He plays a lot of games. He's physical. He's got European experience. I know there'll be other takers because he's on a free. But he's robust, he's got a bit about him. He's like... I don't see how he couldn't fit in. He can play, he scores goals.
And it's a free transfer as well.
It's free. He's asking, my understanding is asking a lot of money in wages, but ultimately, if you're saving, 60, 70 on the fee, and who's better? If you look at his numbers, they're really strong. Yeah. And he's played in a team, that team, Lille, they played at Anfield this season, didn't they?
Yeah.
They're a good side. Collectively a good side. He's not one of these eccentric, maverick kind of, it's all about me either. He's not one of those. So that's one that, because also, if you get someone in on a free, although you've got to weigh him in on decent wages, because he's going to be asking a lot more than most when you're on a free. It frees up the budget for other areas. The other one, I think, as well, because obviously it looks like Darwin will go, and if someone comes in to replace him, I hope it is an out-and-out striker. It might be someone we don't know. It could be, when Firmino come, who really knew him? Yeah. Even Coutinho, 10 million, who knew him? Really? Unless you were really studying your South American and European football, it's difficult to know some of these players. The other one, I was really, not confused, but disappointed to hear that could be on the way out was Diaz.
Yeah, I think that's in part because he's desperate to go to Barcelona. You can't see that happening. But there is a sense that he's reached about... His value will only go downhill from here.
Yeah,
he's got 2 years left. And, I think that's in the back of their minds. If the right deal comes along, I'm sure they'd do it. But I don't think there's any massive desire to push him out the door unless, the...
I mean, I like Gakpo, don't get me wrong. I think he's had his best season as well. And I'd be happy...
From the left, things better from the left.
I'd be happy with him starting on the left because he's a powerhouse and he scores important goals.
The thing with Diaz, he can be so inconsistent sometimes. He has patches where he looks the real deal, and then he has spells, 6 to 8 games where
he can have bad games, but
down
one thing he's got that a lot of people who play in those forward positions don't have is heart.
Yeah.
And him without the ball.
He's a fighter, isn't he? Yeah.
He epitomises Liverpool in terms of... It was amazing to find a Mane-like player when Mane left. Yeah. I know he wasn't quite as good in the goal-scoring terms, but his work off the ball is it's infectious. It's a hard one to find that in forward play.
Just in terms of, Tony, at the football club, in terms of, last time was a bit of a mess in terms of the hierarchy of the footballing department. Is it now as simple as you've got Michael Edwards at the top, we've got Richard Hughes who's come in as a sporting director, and it's going to be them two working together with the manager and, of course, various scouts in terms of going out and finding players? Is it Edwards and Hughes, the main two at the moment?
Well, Hughes will take the lead on everything, because that's his job. And Michael Edwards' role has changed to a much wider sort of position. But I think particularly this summer, which is the first one, back after departing the club, I think he'll pay more attention than he will in summers to come. And I think there will be a huge sort of movement to prove that their model is the one that's worth taking forward and will sustain Liverpool for a long time. And the other thing to bear in mind in this is we know that Manchester City are in flux. We know that somewhere in the future these 115 charges are going to
are you sure? It keeps getting pushed back and back and back. It's getting ridiculous.
We could do an entire show about that. But at some point they will. And City are at the weakest point they've been since, really, the takeover. Yeah. And I think the idea is,
this is our chance now.
We can gain 5 years on them. And I think that will be in everyone's mind.
Yeah. And also, by the way, Richard Hughes deserves some credit. Because a few jokes knocking around this season. What's this guy doing? You haven't seen him, heard of him. But to be fair, he's got the main two on new contracts. And let's not forget, he's the one who brought Arne Slot to the football club, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, people were criticising him because he hadn't been able to sort out problems that weren't
his fault, right? Exactly.
Well, I mean, eventually they have been sorted out. The tests for Richard Hughes will come this summer. I think, how would I grade him if I was grading him so far? I'd say B+. I think he's done a pretty good job. And I think people can feel confident that he will impress again in the summer.
Yeah. But Tony makes a great point that you think of winning the league with one signing. You've got the two, Salah and Van Dijk on new contracts. You then think, is this a real opportunity in the next 3 to 5 years to go on and dominate English football, Danny, given where City are at? This is a massitive summer in terms of the future of the football club.
It is. It's huge in terms of if they go big in getting the type of quality and the type of characters in that take you forward. But you know what, in football, all the big clubs really, all the bigger spenders, if you like, every summer's big in because there's always one of them trying to catch up. There's always one of them trying to maintain and sustain what they've already got, and they're being competitive. Liverpool's job over the next 3 to 5 years is to be fighting for the Premier League and the title. Champions League and Premier League every season. And what this season has done by winning the league and saving all those funds that they didn't use last year can now put into this summer is give them a wonderful opportunity to build this squad to be really competitive. But it's not a guarantee. There's never a guarantee. Because I still think Arsenal are a hell of a good side, and they're going to go big.
Yes,
there's no doubt
they are going to start
go
centre
big.
forward this summer. It's impossible.
They're going to be competitive. And then there's other teams who might come. Ultimately, what's happening now is happening, I think, and I feel, quicker than we all expected.
Yeah, very much so.
We're basically 3 years ahead of where we thought we were going to be. Maybe two, not three. Two.
Yeah, two.
Yeah. By the way,
and the other thing that you got to bear in mind that you've got the two, sort of the two big re-signings. You got Salah. You've got to replace his goals at maximum 2 years. So you can do that by committee. You can bring in a few players, who will score goals. But Van Dijk, you've got to get someone with the presence and the leadership abilities. And with Trent going, there will be a little bit of a vacuum in the leadership group because he's vice captain. But someone needs to step up. So you got to start addressing those issues as well. So you've got to not only look at next season but beyond it.
While we're in the green room, by the way, before we're coming down, there was a crossover. The Inside Red Devils YouTube show, Man United lot were coming into the green room as I was we were preparing Tony, weren't we, for our title-winning celebration show. We're nearly there. Great moment that on Sunday, we could win the league on Sunday and potentially, possibly, Manchester United could be 17th in the Premier League table, which is just glorious, isn't it?
No, it is.
Who would have thought that, Tony?
And you know what? It's like one of the things we feel about Manchester United. And Danny, you scored against them. You scored. I mean, I remember the moments. I remember the joy, the explosion. That must be one of the greatest things ever.
Do you know what? It's you don't get bored of talking about it because I understood the rivalry from an early age. My first ever game, ironically, 1985 on the Kop, Liverpool Man U. Frank Stapleton scored and Edo lost 1-0. Devastating.
Yeah, I remember it.
And then when I went on to get the 3 winners at Old Trafford, when they kept happening, it was a bit like, this is so surreal because it's not only scoring for the club you love in big games, it's also scoring against the team you hate.
Yeah.
Now, as you play, I had admiration for United because they were a hell of a good side.
Oh, yeah.
And when I got to be at England squads with Scholes and Beckham, and you see the quality that you can't help but admire them rather than hate them, but you learn from them. And we were trying to overtake United, but it's a phenomenal rivalry. And at the moment, what you're talking about is this demise of Man United, which is, I have to say, it is kind of funny.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Because they have had so much success.
Yeah, they've ruined my childhood.
And it's allowing us to build up the titles now to hopefully overtake them, which will irk them. Yeah. But let's err on the side of caution because if they win that Europa League, they're back in the Champions League. Yeah. And, you never know how it can come round. So let's just stay humble on that.
Okay. Here's my dream scenario. My dream scenario is that obviously...
They get relegated?
Yeah, well, no. I'd like to keep them around to mock them.
Just so we can 6 points every season.
But no, in the summer, the Premier League, the 115 charges come through. They strip City of 2 titles. So all of a sudden, we go from 19 to 22.
Yeah. Last couple of minutes of the show, guys. It's the Danny Murphy derby on Sunday, isn't it? Liverpool versus Tottenham. We call it the Danny Murphy derby. In terms of Tottenham, they're going to be resting players, you'd imagine, but they can be so good, can't they? In the beginning of the season, we saw it, but I mean, can you quite believe over the last couple of months, Danny, just how poor, how bad your former side have been?
Not really. I mean, what is it? Lost 18 games, and to be honest, finished last season poorly. Yeah. It's not just this season. Yeah. I think for me, the one thing, and Ange's he's a likeable guy. It sounds like you're just digging in. It's not a personal thing, it's a football thing. I've been very lucky to work under really good managers in terms of, especially defensive setup, if I think of Houllier, Roy Hodgson, just to name 2. And we worked so hard, especially at Liverpool when we had success under Houllier, at being really difficult to play against and a good shape to then build from and let the good players go. Now, I'm not saying Ange had to be pragmatic every week and be boring to watch, because that's not what they brought him in for. But it's horses for courses, depending who you're playing, how the game's going and who you've got fit. And I've watched Tottenham a lot this season. They do not have a defensive plan when they go on the pitch.
Oh, it's appalling, isn't it?
It's like they're so comfortable with the ball and good. They make chances, they score goals. They've always made chances, by hook or by crook. They've got lots of good forward players. And they throw men forward, high energy, high line. and they go after teams. Fine. But you've got to have a plan to stop. And there's no defensive plan.
Yeah.
And what happens over time is the other teams work you out.
Yeah.
And they find the weaknesses. And they just keep conceding goal.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, it's what you see on telly is bad enough. Yeah. But when you're in the ground and you see what the cameras are not picking up, you're like, what's going on?
Let's say Arsenal do get the job done on Wednesday night and they beat Palace, which we think they will do. Sunday's going to be a special day. Are any of you guys going up? Where are you going to be? Is any post-match celebrations planned, Danny?
Well, I'm actually working for the BBC to cover it.
Match today?
Yeah, but there is possibility we might do it from the ground.
Oh, brilliant.
So fingers crossed, not my decision.
I'll get that sorted. Make sure you're up there for the game.
I haven't got that power,
put in there. You've been there a long time now.
No, I'm looking forward to it.
And
Tony?
I'm in a similar situation. I'll be working, but I'm not entirely sure where. So it's it's one of them though. It's wherever you are.
Yeah.
And if you're a Liverpool fan, it's going to be a great day.
Also, honestly, an emotional afternoon. We know the last one we couldn't celebrate because of COVID. So lots of people that have spent a lot of time at Anfield, the hard-earned money, watching the games, they're going to be inside the stadium, seeing their team officially win the title. It's going to be an emotional afternoon as well.
There's a lot of people who'll be at that game who've never seen Liverpool win the title.
True.
That's emotion.
Yeah.
We've been lucky. We've experienced it many times, actually. I've seen Liverpool win finals as a fan, and I've played in them. I mean, I've had the best of both. So
you've lived some life, Danny, haven't you, by the way? What we literally lifting a trophy for your. It's insane, isn't it? It's incredible.
Look at him. He could still go on and play.
Hey,
I've been very fortunate.
You are looking in good nick, Danny.
He's improved Tottenham.
Yeah.
He should be as manager or as a player.
As a player, not player manager.
I do. Thank you, Chuck. I do feel fortunate, but that moment, there's nothing like being in the ground though when it happens. You won't. Liverpool fans across the world will enjoy the moment from afar watching it.
Being in it,
Being there is different, mate, honestly.
Yeah.
Are you going?
I'm not going Sunday, unfortunately. No, I'm doing a show here in the studio for talkSPORT. Not going to be there, sadly. And
well, if
I'm
I
one of those where
I was you,
try and get the show done up there.
I'd find a ticket. Yeah. And I'd bin the show.
I promise you, if I could, Danny, I promise you I would, yeah.
Call in sick.
Call in sick. I'm one of those, I'm the same. I've seen Liverpool win one title. And that was a couple, obviously, the one where none of us could be there. But yeah, it's going to be special and looking forward to it. You've had a great career, Danny, but I imagine being on Inside Liverpool is probably the top 10 maybe? Top 10, top 20, top 50?
All my top moments in life have been on the pitch.
Okay, Jim White's going to...
Sorry, kids.
Jim White, Jim White will be watching this fuming that he hasn't got a mention. Gents, thank you. Danny, Tony, thank you. Our next show is going to be on Monday, where hopefully, Tony, you're doing the show with us. Fingers crossed we'll have a title celebration.
I'm sure we will.
And I think I've told producer Anna, I think we can have a cold drink, can't we, celebrate whilst doing the show?
I'll see.
Only feels right, yeah? Gents, thank you very much. Thank you for watching Inside Liverpool. Yeah, the next show we'll be recording on Monday morning, where all being well, fingers crossed, it will be a title celebration. Liverpool 1 win away.